Welcome to our deep dive. Today we're tackling the art of war.
Ooh, The Art of War, a classic.
It really is.
Yeah.
This military treatise, it's over 2,500 years old
Wow.
by Sun Tzu and still incredibly relevant.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
We're using a classic translation from 1910.
Okay.
So imagine, a guide to strategy so powerful
Yeah.
that leaders in business, politics,
No.
even sports are still, studying it today.
Absolutely.
That's the art of war.
It's incredible the principles that he lays out,
Yeah.
They tap into something so fundamental
Yeah.
about just human nature
Yeah.
and competition. I mean, they're just as relevant,
Right.
in the boardroom
Yeah.
or on a political campaign
Mm-hmm.
as they were, back on the ancient battlefield.
Totally. So let's jump into the core of his strategy.
Okay, yeah.
One of the things that really stood out to me was his emphasis on something called the 5 constant factors.
Yes, so 5 constant factors.
And these are, elements that he says you have to consider
Absolutely have to.
before any kind of conflict.
And not only does he list these, but he ranks them
Oh, interesting.
in order of importance.
Okay.
And moral law is at the top,
Hmm.
which I find fascinating. It's
Mhm.
really about making sure that your people
Right.
are aligned with your leadership and the mission.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that,
Yeah.
Sun Tzu says, you're already at a disadvantage,
Oh, wow.
no matter how strong you may seem.
So that makes a lot of sense. You could have the,
Yeah.
most talented team,
Right.
most brilliant product.
Right.
But if everyone's working at cross purposes
Yes.
or undermining each other,
Wow.
it's, it's all going to fall apart.
Right. Think about companies with just really toxic work environments.
Yeah.
They often struggle,
Oh, yeah.
even if they have, a great product,
Mhm.
because that lack of internal cohesion,
Right.
it creates inefficiency.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it just impacts their ability to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Sun Tzu would probably say that.
Yeah.
They're lacking in moral law.
Like a recipe for disaster. Okay, so moral law is key.
Yeah.
What about the other factors?
Okay, yeah.
He mentions heaven and earth,
Yes.
and those sound a bit mystical.
Well, they sound a bit mystical, but
Yeah.
in Sun Tzu's framework, they're really less about mysticism
Okay.
and more about understanding
Right.
the environment that
Okay.
you're operating in.
Mhm.
So heaven encompasses things like,
Okay.
weather and timing,
Mhm.
whereas earth is more about,
Okay.
terrain,
Okay.
knowing your surroundings.
Okay.
So he's basically saying you need to adapt to the external circumstances that you can't really control.
So it's not, hoping for divine intervention.
Yeah.
It's about being aware of the realities
Totally, yeah.
on the ground.
Yeah.
And, like a company
Yeah.
launching a product
Right.
needs to understand the market trends,
Exactly.
You know.
Understand consumer preferences.
consumer preferences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ignoring Earth in that kind of context
Yeah.
could be fatal.
Right.
It reminds me of that fashion brand
Yeah.
that launched like a winter collection.
Okay. Yeah.
All these like heavy synthetic materials.
Right.
Right when the trend was shifting towards like
Amazing.
sustainability
Right.
and lighter fabrics,
Mm.
they completely misread the terrain.
Yeah. They didn't understand the earth.
And it really cost them.
Ouch. That's
Yeah.
gotta hurt. All right. So we've got moral law. We've got heaven, earth.
Right?
What about the other two factors?
The other two, okay.
I'm guessing there's something to do with leadership.
You're absolutely right. He calls them
Okay.
the commander
Yeah.
and method and discipline.
Ooh. Okay.
So the commander isn't just, about holding a title.
Right.
It's about embodying specific qualities
Okay.
like wisdom, sincerity, benevolence,
Mm-hmm.
courage, and strictness.
That's a pretty demanding list.
Yeah.
It sounds like he's describing the ideal CEO,
Mm.
someone who can, inspire their team,
Yeah.
make the tough decisions,
Yeah.
keep everyone focused on the mission.
Keep it all together.
But isn't there a risk of those qualities clashing?
Well, yeah.
Like, how do you balance being benevolent, for example,
Yeah.
and being strict?
Well, that's where, the wisdom part comes in.
Right.
It's about understanding
Yeah.
when to apply each quality.
Okay.
Finding that right balance for each situation.
Mm-hmm.
A good leader knows, when to be tough and when to to show compassion,
Mm-hmm.
when to be bold,
Right.
and when to be cautious.
Yeah.
It's about reading the room, so to speak,
Yeah.
and adapting your approach.
Yeah. It's almost like conducting an orchestra.
Ah,
You need all those different instruments
right.
to create this beautiful music,
Yeah,
but someone needs to be in charge to guide the tempo,
right.
and bring it all together.
Yes, that's a great analogy. And that brings us to method and discipline.
Okay.
So, he's talking about
Mm-hmm.
having those clear systems
Okay.
in place.
Mm-hmm.
Organization, logistics.
Yeah, it's like all the behind the scenes work.
Right, exactly.
That makes everything run smoothly.
Yeah.
Supply chains,
Right.
communication networks,
Yeah.
all the nuts and bolts that keep a company operating efficiently.
Absolutely. In a modern context, you can think of this as,
Yeah.
your project management software, efficient workflows,
Right.
having, a clear chain of command.
Yeah.
It's about minimizing the chaos,
Right.
and maximizing efficiency.
All right, so we've covered the 5 constant factors:
Mm-hmm.
moral law, heaven, earth, the commander,
Yes.
and method and discipline.
Mm.
It's like this checklist for success
It is, yeah.
in any kind of, conflict,
Yeah,
from ancient warfare to modern business.
you got it. And Sun Tzu, he doesn't stop there.
Oh, of course not.
No, he goes on to explore, all sorts of different
Right.
strategic concepts
Okay.
that are still, incredibly relevant today.
Okay.
But one of the most fascinating and often misinterpreted is his emphasis on deception.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
This is where things start to get a little Machiavellian, right?
Well, yeah, it can seem that way.
All warfare is based on deception.
He did say that, yes.
And that sounds pretty intense.
It is. But it's important to understand what he means by that,
Okay.
by deception.
Right.
He's not advocating for
Right.
just, outright lying or cheating.
Right.
It's more about being,
Right.
strategically unpredictable,
Okay.
keeping your opponent
Right.
guessing
Okay.
and using their assumptions against them.
So it's more about psychological warfare
Exactly.
than outright trickery.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he suggests tactics
Yeah.
like, appearing weak when you're strong, striking when your opponent
Right.
least expects it,
Okay.
using bait to, lure them into traps.
Right.
He even talks about, turning a misfortune to your advantage,
Okay.
which is a concept he calls deviation.
Oh, deviation. What's that?
So imagine a company, right?
Yeah.
They're facing a PR crisis.
Hmm.
A less strategic leader, might just panic and
Yeah.
try to downplay the issue.
Right.
But a leader who really understands
Yeah.
this idea of deviation
Okay.
might see this as an opportunity to really
Right.
address the problem head on.
Yeah.
Demonstrate transparency.
Right.
And even use the situation to strengthen their brand image.
Or it's about turning, a negative into a positive,
Yeah.
using a setback as a springboard for growth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty clever.
It is clever. And it's not just about,
Right.
reacting to misfortune.
Right.
He encourages leaders to be, really proactive
Okay.
in creating situations.
Right.
That might seem disadvantageous at first,
Okay.
but ultimately work in their favor.
Like enticing your opponent to take a longer route,
Exactly. Yeah.
even if it means starting later,
Yes.
so you can take a shortcut and reach the goal faster.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about luring your opponent
Yeah.
into a false sense of security,
Right.
making them believe
Right.
they have the upper hand
Right.
while you're secretly maneuvering yourself into a position of advantage.
Right. Okay, that sounds like it requires a lot of trust in your team.
Absolutely.
If everyone's not on the same page,
Right.
things could go wrong very quickly.
Yeah. These kinds of, deceptive tactics
Yeah.
really require a high level of coordination.
Mm.
You need a team
Right.
that's adaptable and can, think on their feet.
Right.
Otherwise, you just, you risk creating more chaos
Right.
than strategic advantage.
Yeah. Got it. Deception is a powerful tool,
Mm,
but it needs to be wielded carefully.
absolutely.
Now, I'm curious
Yeah.
about how his ideas
Yeah.
apply to something like choosing your battles.
Okay.
He talks about understanding the terrain,
Right. Yeah.
but how does that translate to a modern context?
So it's about knowing
Yeah.
the landscape of your particular field.
Okay.
So in business,
Yeah.
this could mean understanding
Yeah.
the competitive forces
Okay.
at play.
Right.
The regulatory environment,
Yeah.
the cultural nuances
Right.
of your target market.
Right.
It's about identifying,
Okay.
where you can succeed,
Right.
which is, the high ground,
Right.
and the areas where you're, likely to face more challenges,
Yeah.
the danger zones, so to speak.
So it's not about charging into battle blindly.
Yeah.
It's about carefully assessing the situation
Yeah.
and choosing your engagement strategically.
Yeah.
Like if you're a small startup,
Yeah.
you probably don't want to go head to head with
Well,
a giant corporation right away.
No. You might choose to focus
Right.
on a niche market
Right.
where you can establish,
Right.
a strong foothold,
Mm-hmm.
build up your resources
Right.
before you take on the bigger players.
Right.
I think, Sun Tzu would advise,
Yeah.
picking your battles carefully, avoiding unnecessary conflict,
Right.
always seeking that path of least resistance.
Yeah. That's a good reminder for all of us, no matter, what field we're in.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of, knowing your terrain,
Mm-hmm.
Sun Tzu also had a lot to say about the importance of information gathering.
Yeah.
In fact, he dedicated a whole chapter to the use of spies,
Yes.
which we'll delve into a bit later.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
But for now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about, the cost of war.
Okay, yeah.
Sun Tzu doesn't shy away from acknowledging
No, not at all.
that even victory comes at a price.
That's right. He's very, very clear about the drain on resources
Yeah.
and the impact on the population.
Right.
The prolonged conflict.
Yeah.
It depletes the treasury,
Mm-hmm.
exhausts manpower,
Yeah.
disrupts agriculture
Right.
and commerce,
Yeah.
and can just leave, lasting scars on society.
Yeah, it's a sobering reminder that winning isn't always
Yeah.
what it seems.
Right.
Like, winning a lawsuit,
Yeah.
but ending up, bankrupt from legal fees.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the victory can feel
Yeah,
pretty hollow in that kind of situation.
it really can. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting how, Sun Tzu,
Yeah.
he even gets into the specifics of
Yeah.
the economic burden
Okay.
of war.
Yeah.
He talks about, broken chariots,
Mm-hmm.
worn out horses,
Right.
and just, the skyrocketing cost of equipment.
Incredible. The attention to detail
It is.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what he would say
Right.
about the economic and social costs of our modern day
Right. Yeah.
conflicts.
Yeah.
Right.
That is something worth pondering.
It is. Now,
Yeah.
okay, on a slightly lighter note,
Okay.
let's move on to, one of the most famous quotes from The Art of War.
Yeah.
If you know the enemy and know yourself,
You need not fear the results of 100 battles.
there it is.
Yes.
That's been quoted everywhere.
Yes, it has.
But I'm curious.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean?
Right.
In a practical sense?
Yeah.
How do you truly
Yeah.
know yourself and know your enemy in a way that gives you that
Right.
strategic advantage?
Yeah. So for Sun Tzu,
Yeah.
this isn't just about,
Yeah.
gathering intelligence
Right.
on your opponent. It's about really understanding their motivations,
Okay.
their strengths, their
Mhm.
weaknesses,
Mm-hmm.
their patterns of behavior.
Right.
But perhaps even more importantly,
Yeah.
it's about having that same level of self-awareness,
Right. Yeah.
knowing your own capabilities,
Right.
your limitations,
Yeah.
your tendencies under pressure.
So it's like holding a mirror to yourself as well as
Yeah.
looking through a telescope
Exactly. Yeah.
at your opponent.
Yeah, and this applies to
Right.
everything from
Yeah.
business negotiations
Yeah.
to personal relationships.
Right.
I mean, if you're going into a job interview,
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
you need to know
Yeah.
not only your own qualifications,
Right.
but also the company's needs,
Mm-hmm.
the interviewer's expectations.
Right.
You need to understand the playing field
Mm.
and how to position yourself
All right.
for success.
Wow. It really is about seeing the whole picture,
It is.
both internally
Yeah.
and externally.
Yeah.
Now we've talked about knowing yourself,
Right.
knowing your enemy, but what about the actual tools of intelligence gathering?
Right. Yeah.
Sun Tzu, he was big on spies, wasn't he?
He was. He was. Absolutely. Yeah. He dedicated a whole chapter
Yeah.
to the use of spies.
Right, the use of spies.
He outlined 5 different types of spies.
5 types.
5 types. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But I think it's time for a little break.
Okay.
We'll be back soon to delve deeper into the fascinating world of
All right.
Sun Tzu's espionage tactics.
All right.
All right.
Sound good.
All right. Welcome back to our deep dive into the art of war. We've been unpacking Sun Tzu's strategic brilliance.
Yeah, he's full of surprises, isn't he?
He really is. From the 5 constant factors to the art of deception.
Yeah.
But now, before the break, we were about to venture into some seriously cloak and dagger territory.
Oh no, right? I love this part.
Yeah.
It's espionage.
Espionage. Sun Tzu was a firm believer
Oh yeah.
in the power of, information.
Yes.
And he saw spies as essential
Absolutely essential.
for gaining an advantage over your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
You have to know what they're planning.
Right.
To really outmaneuver them.
He even
You
outlined
did, yeah.
5 types of spies.
I did. I know, 5 types. It's incredible.
5 types. That's more complex than I imagined.
Right. It's not just, sneaking around the shadows. It's there's a whole system. There's a whole methodology to it.
I'm picturing like something out of a spy movie.
Yeah.
With code names.
Right.
And secret rendezvous points.
Yeah.
Break it down for us. What are these different spy types?
Yeah.
And what roles did they play in Sun Tzu's strategy?
Okay, so we've got 5. We've got local, inward converted, doomed,
Okay.
and surviving spies.
Surviving spies. Wow.
And each one serves a very distinct purpose
Okay.
in gathering intelligence
Okay.
and even manipulating
Okay.
the enemy.
Okay. I'm all ears.
All right.
Let's start with the first one. Local spies.
Okay, local spies.
Ooh, who are they?
These are folks that are recruited
Okay.
from the area
Okay.
that you're operating in.
Right.
So they blend in
Right.
seamlessly.
Yeah.
They provide, that ground level intel.
Okay.
Things like public sentiment, rumors,
Right.
troop movements,
Okay.
even the lay of the land.
Okay.
They're your eyes and ears on the ground.
So like embedded reporters
Yeah.
in a war zone, but with more strategic purpose.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's fascinating. What about inward spies?
Okay. Inward spies.
They sound a bit more
Yeah, a little.
risky.
They are a little more risky.
Yeah.
So inward spies
Yeah.
are enemy officials.
Right.
Or individuals who are in positions of power,
Right.
who have been,
Yeah.
turned to your side
Right.
one way or another
Right.
through, maybe persuasion,
Mm-hmm.
bribery,
Right.
blackmail,
Right.
whatever it takes.
Okay.
And they offer you
Yeah.
a glimpse into the enemy's
Right.
inner workings,
Right.
their plans,
Yeah.
their vulnerabilities.
Talk about high stakes intelligence gathering.
Yeah,
That takes some serious spycraft
it does.
to pull off.
It does.
Okay, now converted spies.
Converted spies, all right.
That sounds like something straight out of a John le Carré novel.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
So converted spies
Yeah.
are enemy spies that you've captured
Okay.
and then persuaded
Right.
to work for you
Right.
instead.
Okay.
They can be incredibly valuable because they already have access
Yeah.
to the enemy's,
Right.
intelligence network.
Right.
And they can
Yeah.
feed them disinformation,
Oh, wow.
That's
playing the long game.
It is. It is.
Yeah. Turn your enemy's weapon against them.
Yeah, that's a classic move.
Yeah, Sun Tzu was a master strategist.
He was. Okay,
What about doomed spies?
All right. Doomed spies.
That sounds
This is
ominous.
yeah, a little bit ominous.
Yes,
So
sir.
doomed spies are basically pawns,
Okay.
in this game of espionage.
Right.
They're deliberately
Right.
fed false information
Okay.
and sent back to the enemy.
Right.
They become, unwitting double agents,
Oh, wow.
spreading this misinformation that leads the enemy astray.
It's like a Trojan horse of information.
Yeah, yeah.
So their doom is essentially
Yeah.
to be caught
Yeah.
and believed by the enemy,
Yeah.
leading them into a trap.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And finally, we've got the surviving spies.
Surviving spies.
These are your elite agents.
Okay.
You know, they successfully infiltrate
Right.
enemy territory,
Okay.
gather critical intel,
Yeah.
and make it back alive to report their findings.
They're like the James Bonds.
Yeah, they're your top agents.
Of the ancient world.
Absolutely.
So the information they bring back must be,
Yeah.
pure gold for a strategic leader.
Oh, it's invaluable. Yeah.
It's amazing to think that Sun Tzu
Mm.
had this whole,
Right.
network
Yeah.
of spies working for him,
Right. Yeah.
gathering information
From all these different angles.
from all angles. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really highlights
Yeah.
how much he valued
Oh yeah.
intelligence.
Yeah.
But what about in today's world?
Okay, so
Do these ancient spy techniques
right.
still apply?
Absolutely they do.
Okay.
I mean, we might not use,
Right.
the exact same methods,
Right.
but the underlying principles are as relevant as ever.
Okay.
I mean, think about the role of competitive intelligence
Mm-hmm.
in the business world.
Yeah.
Companies invest
Yeah.
heavily
Yeah.
in market research,
Right.
data analysis,
Right.
even, ethical hacking
Right.
to gain insights
Right.
into their rivals,
Yeah.
strategies,
Right.
their customer preferences,
Mm.
emerging trends.
No, it's like digital espionage.
Exactly.
Using algorithms.
Right.
And data mining
Hmm.
instead of,
Instead of sneaking around in the shadows.
cloak and dagger tactics.
Right. Exactly. And it's
Yeah.
it's not just about
Yeah.
gathering the information.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how to use it
Right.
effectively.
Right.
Sun Tzu,
Yeah.
he really emphasized the importance of
Yeah.
analyzing the intel.
Okay. Mm.
Discerning truth from falsehood, making those strategic decisions
Right.
based on the insights that you gather.
It's about connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And seeing that bigger picture.
Exactly.
Just like Sun Tzu advocated for
Yeah.
back in ancient China.
Yeah.
That makes me think about, the role of data analysts and market researchers today.
Yeah.
They're like the modern day
Yeah.
equivalents of Sun Tzu.
We are
Spies
Yeah.
sifting through vast amounts of information
right.
to uncover those
Right.
valuable insights
Valuable. Yeah.
that can give their company an edge.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just like Sun Tzu, he really valued his spies.
Yeah.
And treated them well.
Okay.
Modern organizations, they recognize how important it is to invest
Yeah.
in their intelligence gathering teams.
Right.
Whether they're data analysts,
Right.
market researchers,
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity experts, whatever.
Yeah.
It
It all comes back to that fundamental principle.
does.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
The more you know
Yeah.
about your opponent,
Mm.
the market, the playing field,
Yeah.
the better equipped you are
You are. Yeah.
to make those strategic decisions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, we've talked a lot about, intelligence,
Yeah.
deception,
Hmm.
but I'm curious about what Sun Tzu had to say
Okay.
about, the actual conduct of war or,
Right.
or conflict in general.
Yeah.
Did he have any specific advice on how to engage
Okay. Yeah.
with the enemy
Yeah.
once those battle lines
Right.
are drawn?
He did. And this is where his genius for military strategy
Okay.
really, really shines.
Okay.
I mean, he had a lot to say about things like,
Yeah.
positioning your troops,
Mhm.
choosing your battleground,
Okay.
exploiting your opponent's weaknesses.
Right.
But one of the most, I think, intriguing concepts that he introduces is this idea
Yes.
of turning the devious
Okay.
into the direct
Yeah.
and misfortune into gain.
That sounds a bit cryptic.
It does.
Can you give us a concrete example
Sure.
of what that means in practice?
Okay, so imagine a company.
Yeah.
They're facing a supply chain disruption,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
A less strategic leader,
Yeah.
might just panic and try to
Right.
force a solution.
Right.
And potentially,
Yeah.
make things worse.
Right.
But a leader who understands
Right.
this principle of Sun Tzu
Mm-hmm.
might see this disruption as an opportunity
Right.
to diversify their sourcing,
Okay.
strengthen relationships with new suppliers,
Mm.
or even innovate and create
Okay.
a more resilient supply chain.
So it's about turning a setback
Yeah,
into a springboard for innovation.
it is. Yeah,
You know, finding the silver lining
exactly.
in a seemingly
Yeah,
negative situation.
yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about
Right.
reacting
Yeah.
to misfortune.
Right.
Sun Tzu, he encourages leaders
Yeah.
to be proactive in creating situations
Okay.
that might seem disadvantageous at first,
Okay.
but ultimately
Yeah.
work in their favor.
Like enticing your opponent to take a longer route,
Exactly. Yeah.
even if it means starting later.
Yeah.
So you can take a shortcut and reach the goal faster.
Yes.
We talked about that earlier with deviation.
Right. Exactly. It's about luring
Yeah.
your opponent into a false sense of security,
Right.
making them believe
Right.
that they have the upper hand.
Right.
While you're secretly maneuvering yourself into a position
Right.
of advantage.
So it's like playing possum,
Yeah, it is.
but with a strategic goal in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
But wouldn't that require your team to be
It would.
incredibly
It would.
disciplined and adaptable?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. These kinds of, deceptive tactics,
Right.
they really require a high level of trust and coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise you just risk
Right.
confusing your own people.
Right.
Creating chaos
Right.
instead of strategic advantage.
Right.
Sun Tzu emphasizes
Yeah.
that, having a well-trained
Right.
and disciplined team
Mm-hmm.
is crucial
Right.
for executing these maneuvers successfully.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
If everyone's not on the same page, things could fall apart pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got deception,
Mm.
maneuvering,
Yeah.
turning misfortune into gain.
Mm-hmm.
What other
Yeah.
tactical gems
Okay.
did Sun Tzu have
Okay.
up his sleeve?
Well, he stresses the importance of understanding
Okay.
the terrain,
Okay.
both literally and metaphorically.
Right. Yeah.
He talks about
Yeah.
knowing the mountains,
Right.
the forests,
Right.
the marshes.
Mm-hmm.
But how does that translate to
Yeah, that's a great question.
Right.
It's like we're translating
Instead of
an ancient language into a modern
exactly.
context.
Yeah.
What would
Yeah.
the mountains
Yeah.
and forests represent
Right.
in a business setting?
So think of the mountains
Okay.
as the established players
Okay.
in your industry.
Yeah.
The big companies
Right.
that dominate the market.
Okay.
The forests could be,
Okay.
those more complex,
Right.
challenging areas
Okay.
where it's easy to get lost or bogged down.
Okay. Yeah.
Things like, intricate regulations,
Right.
rapidly changing technologies, highly competitive niches, things like that.
So just like in warfare,
Yeah.
you want to avoid getting,
Yeah.
trapped
You don't want to get bogged down.
in difficult terrain.
Yeah.
You want it to choose your battles carefully
Yeah.
and find that
Right.
path of least resistance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Sun Tzu, he advises seeking
Yeah.
that high ground.
Right. That high ground. Right.
The areas
Yeah.
where you have a clear advantage
Right.
and can operate more effectively.
Right.
He emphasizes
Yeah.
the importance of
Yeah.
speed and adaptability.
Right.
He says, let your rapidity be that of the wind,
Oh, wow.
your compactness that of the forest.
I love that
Right.
imagery, It's
Yeah.
about being, agile,
Yeah.
striking quickly,
Right.
and then disappearing back into the shadows
Yeah.
before your opponent
Yeah.
even knows what hit them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he compares the impact
Yeah.
of a well executed attack
Yeah.
to a grindstone
Okay.
dashed
Okay.
against an egg.
Ouch. Talk about making a point.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's emphasizing
Yeah.
the importance of
Yeah.
exploiting
Right.
your opponent's weaknesses while protecting your own strengths.
Okay.
It's about being
Yeah.
strategic and calculated in your approach.
Right.
Not just throwing force against force.
Right. Yeah.
He talks about using your strength to attack your enemy's weakness and avoiding a direct confrontation.
Right.
If their strength outweighs yours.
This is all starting to sound very familiar.
It is.
Haven't we heard? These same ideas echoed.
Yeah.
In modern business strategy books.
We have I mean, concepts like disruptive innovation, blue ocean strategy, agile management. All of these have roots in Sun Tzu's, ancient wisdom.
Ancient wisdom.
And
It's amazing how he was talking about these things,
I know, right?
Centuries ago.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
It really shows you how timeless these principles are.
It's like he cracked the code of human behavior.
Right.
And competition.
Yeah.
And the code still works today.
The code still works. And it's not just about, the tactics themselves. It's about
the mindset.
The mindset that Sun Tzu promotes.
Yeah.
He talks about the importance of being, calm under pressure, maintaining a clear head even in the midst of chaos.
Yeah.
Never letting your emotions
cloud your judgment.
Your judgment.
Yeah.
He sounds like a master of mindfulness.
Right.
Centuries before.
I know.
It was cool.
Right.
Yeah.
He also stresses the importance of discipline.
Okay.
For both individuals.
Right.
And the team.
Okay.
As a whole.
Mm-hmm.
He says.
Yeah.
Simulated disorder.
Okay.
Postulates.
Oh.
Perfect discipline.
Right.
Simulated fear.
Okay.
Postulates courage.
Okay.
Simulated weakness postulates strength.
Whoa. Okay. Unpack that one for us.
Okay.
It sounds like he's suggesting.
Yeah.
You should sometimes pretend to be weak or disorganized.
Right. So he's saying that appearing disorganized or even afraid can be a strategic advantage.
Okay.
But this only works.
Right.
If your team is so well-trained and disciplined that they can maintain order even when it looks like everything is falling apart.
It's about controlled chaos.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a carefully orchestrated performance designed to mislead your opponent.
It's like those basketball plays where the team pretends to be totally out of sync.
Right.
But it's actually a carefully choreographed maneuver to throw off the other team.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's the same with appearing, weak or vulnerable.
Right.
It can lull your opponent into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Making them overconfident and less cautious.
Right.
Which opens up, opportunities for you.
Yeah.
To exploit.
So it's all about mind games, really.
It is.
Yeah.
You got it.
Making your opponent think one thing.
Yeah.
While you're secretly planning something else.
Sun Tzu was a master of psychological warfare.
Yeah.
He understood that victory.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the art of war. We've been exploring Sun Tzu's strategic brilliance.
Yeah.
From the 5 constant factors to the use of spies.
Right.
But now we're about to enter a whole new dimension, the psychology of conflict.
That's right. We've touched on, deception and maneuver.
Right.
But Sun Tzu goes even deeper.
Oh, okay.
Exploring how to influence your opponent's mind.
Right.
Their perceptions.
Yeah.
And even their emotions. He understood that victory is often achieved not just through, physical force.
Yeah.
But by undermining your opponent's will to fight.
Right.
By making them doubt themselves.
Okay.
Question their strategy.
Right.
And ultimately, lose their nerve.
So it's like he's playing chess
It is.
with their minds, setting up these these psychological traps,
Yeah.
and maneuvering them into positions where they feel cornered,
Right.
even if they have a tactical advantage on the battlefield.
Exactly. And he does this in a variety of ways.
Okay.
One of his key tactics is to create this aura of unpredictability.
Right.
To make your opponent constantly guess your next move.
Okay.
To keep them off balance.
Right.
Second guessing themselves.
So it's about being a master of the unexpected.
Yes.
Yeah, keeping your opponent in a state of constant.
Yes. Keep them guessing.
Uncertainty.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. He talks about appearing weak when you're strong and strong when you're weak.
Okay.
He encourages leaders to be adaptable.
Yeah.
To change their tactics as the situation demands, and to never let their opponent get comfortable or predict their next move.
That reminds me of a quote from a modern day military strategist.
Okay.
Bruce Lee.
Oh yes.
He said, "Be like water, my friend.
Yes.
Be formless, shapeless like water.
I love that quote.
You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup.
Right, yeah.
You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot.
Yeah.
Now water can flow, or it can crash.
Yes.
Be water, my friend."
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Sun Tzu would have loved that.
Yeah.
He understood the importance of being fluid, adaptable, responsive to the ever-changing dynamics of conflict.
It's about being able to shift your approach, to adjust your tactics, and to always stay one step ahead
Yes,
of your opponent, mentally and strategically.
That's right.
But how do you actually create this aura of unpredictability?
Yeah.
Is it about deliberately misleading your opponent, or is it more about cultivating a mindset of flexibility and adaptability?
It's a bit of both, actually. Sun Tzu, he encourages leaders to be, masters of deception, to use, feints and disguises to mask their true intentions.
Right.
But it's also about developing a keen sense of timing and intuition for when to strike, when to retreat, and when to simply wait patiently for the right opportunity to present itself.
So it's not just about being unpredictable for the sake of being unpredictable. It's about using that unpredictability strategically to gain an advantage over your opponent, and to manipulate the situation to your favor.
That's right.
Okay, and one of the most powerful ways to do this is by understanding the psychology of
fear. That's right.
Sun Tzu knew that fear is a powerful weapon.
He did.
And he wasn't afraid to use it to his advantage.
Not at all.
Now that sounds intense.
Yeah.
How did he actually use fear as a weapon? Was it about intimidating his opponents?
Yeah.
Through, displays of force, or was it more subtle than that?
It was often quite subtle.
Okay.
He talked about using surprise attacks, spreading rumors, and even creating illusions to sow doubt and fear in the enemy's ranks.
Right.
He understood that a terrified enemy is a disorganized enemy.
Yeah.
An enemy that's prone to making mistakes, acting irrationally.
So it's about getting inside their heads, planting those seeds of doubt and making them question their own abilities.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's psychological warfare at its finest.
It is.
And it's not just about instilling fear in the enemy. It's also about managing fear within your own ranks.
Yes, within your own ranks. That's right.
Sun Tzu recognized that fear is contagious.
Yes.
And he stressed the importance of maintaining morale.
Absolutely.
And discipline among his troops.
That's right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If your own soldiers are terrified, they're not going to be very effective in battle.
No, not at all.
But how do you keep your troops from panicking in the face of danger, especially when you're using tactics that rely on deception and surprise?
Sun Tzu, he believed that the key to overcoming fear is through training discipline and trust.
Okay.
He advocated for for building a strong sense of camaraderie among his soldiers, fostering a shared belief in the mission, and instilling a deep respect for their commanders. He understood that when soldiers trust their leaders and believe in the cause they're fighting for, they're less likely to succumb to fear, even in the most challenging situations.
It's about creating a culture of courage and resilience where fear is acknowledged, but not allowed to paralyze action.
That's a powerful lesson.
It is.
Not just for, military leaders, but for anyone who's leading a team through difficult times.
Right, and it all comes back
to
Sun Tzu's emphasis on the importance, the moral law. That sense of unity and purpose and shared values that binds a group together and gives them the strength to overcome adversity.
Absolutely.
It's like that saying, united we stand, divided we fall.
Yes, very much so.
When a team is united in purpose and trusts their leader, they can achieve amazing things, even in the face of overwhelming odds.
That's right.
And that's ultimately what makes Sun Tzu's art of war so
timeless
and
relevant. He understood that conflict, whether it's on the battlefield, in the boardroom, or even within ourselves, is ultimately a struggle for the human mind. And the key to success lies in mastering the psychology of conflict and understanding the dynamics of fear and courage, and in harnessing the power of human motivation and belief.
Wow, that's a profound insight.
It is.
It's like he's saying that the real battleground is within ourselves.
Yes.
And the true victory is won not just by defeating our opponents, but by conquering our own fears and doubts.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's a message that resonates deeply with me. I think we can all learn from Sun Tzu's wisdom, even if we're not facing literal battles. His teachings offer valuable insights into human nature, the dynamics of power, and the strategies for navigating conflict in all its forms.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the art of war.
It's been quite a journey.
What an incredible journey it's been. We've explored everything from the 5 constant factors to the use of spies, from the psychology of fear to the importance of the moral law.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how a text written over 2,500 years ago can still be so relevant and insightful today.
It is truly remarkable.
It is remarkable.
And I encourage our listeners to explore the art of war further on their own. There's so much wisdom to be gleaned from this ancient master strategist. And I have a feeling you'll discover, new insights with each reading.
Agreed. Who knew that a military treatise could be so fascinating, thought-provoking, and applicable to our modern lives?
That is.
It's a testament to the enduring power of Sun Tzu's insights.
It is.
And the timeless nature of human behavior.
Absolutely.
And perhaps the most important takeaway from this deep dive is this: knowledge, strategy, and a clear understanding of human nature are the keys to success in any field.
That's right.
Whether it's warfare, business, politics,
or even just navigating the complexities of everyday life.
Well said.
Well said. And on that note,
we'll leave you to ponder Sun Tzu's wisdom and apply it to your own endeavors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Remember, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting.
Yes, without fight.
So stay sharp, stay strategic, and until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving.